Muchas gracias. Buenas tardes de nuevo. Continuamos las sesiones del Congreso Internacional del Tomate para la Industria. Agradecemos la asistencia de doña María Bildstein y don Leonardo Martínez, que van a realizar dos ponencias de gran interés. Doña María Bildstein es directora de proyectos en el área de tecnología de los alimentos e ingeniería de bioprocesos de TTZ en Bremerhaven, pronunciable, con una amplia experiencia en la valorización de residuos vegetales de la industria alimentaria, y nos va a realizar una presentación sobre los nuevos procesos de extracción, valorización de compuestos bioactivos procedentes de los residuos de la industria del tomate. Sin más, le cedo la palabra.
So I'm going to talk today about the results of some projects we had on about the extraction processes of tomato processing residues. So I first would like to thank the people who presented their results before me, because they did a very good job of introduction for my presentation, so I'm very happy about that. Thank you. The information I'm going to present you are the results of two European projects that we've been performing in TTZ Bremerhaven in Germany. First of all, the TOM project, which was about the total valorization of the tomato processing residues, and then the BioActiveNet project, which was about the extraction of bioactive compounds from the tomato processing residues. So to go a little bit in the context very fast, the processing of tomato is, the whole tomato are processed to get different products, as you know. Here are listed some of them. But this processing is also producing some residues. We've seen in the presentation before that main processing residues are peels and seeds that are also named pomace, and the wastewater. So to give you some figures of the amount, we already had some information earlier, but just to do a small comparison maybe between Spain and Italy, because they are the two main European tomato producers. In Spain, more or less, these figures are from the 2008 campaign, so about 1.7 million tons tomatoes have been processed, and about 49,000 tons pomace, so these processing residues have been produced parallel to that. In Italy, they have a little higher production or processing of tomatoes, so they had also consequently more pomace. So the question is, there is this big amount of processing residues. What can be done with these residues? So there is, of course, a legislation frame, which is applicable here is the legislation on wastes. So what is said is that directive is that the companies have to ensure that the wastes are recovered without endangering human health and without harming the environment. So these are two necessities for the companies to follow. So what is interesting with tomato is that the tomato pulp from tomato pressing, for example, are following these two conditions, and tomato processing residues can, in that sense, be used as animal feeding. From a legislative point of view, byproducts from the tomato transformation or tomato processing residues are can also be used as secondary raw materials for producing of different food additives. To give you some figures, what we determined during the various investigation is that more or less in Spain about 40% of the pomace is sold as animal fodder. So this is best case, let's say, that you can still sell these processing residues. Then you have we found out that about 40% of the pomace is transferred without financial exchange. So let's say that the companies are giving them for land fielding or for animal fodder. And about 20% of the pomace are removed against payment, which is really the worst case, that the companies processing the tomatoes have to pay to get rid of their residues. So this is nothing new for you because it has been discussed before, but just to go back again, tomato processing residues contain various different bioactive compounds. So you have vitamins like vitamin E, you have different phenolic compounds, you have oligosaccharides, fructooligosaccharides, and then you have three, I'm going to describe a little more in detail. We already heard some words about these three, the lycopene, the tomato fibers, and the tomato seed oil. So very shortly about lycopene, as you know, it's this bright red carotenoid pigment. It is allowed as a food colorant, so food additive. It is found in tomatoes, but some other red fruits also, like watermelon or grapefruit or guava. And it is also, as we heard earlier, produced by some bacteria or fungi. And we already saw that acceptable daily intake is lying by 0.5 milligrams per kilogram of body mass per day. So why is lycopene so nice? First of all, it is a proven antioxidant, so it has really an antioxidant effect, so this is very positive. Secondly, it is an immune stimulant against the damage that can be caused by the ultraviolet rays. So in that sense, it's also a very interesting product. And currently, as we heard earlier already, I'm sorry to repeat a lot of information, the role of the lycopene is investigated for two aspects. First of all, the prevention of cardiovascular diseases, so mainly in the frame of a big European project, also the LycoCard project. And at the same time, the potential benefits of the intake of lycopene is investigated against cancers of digestive tract, breast and prostate. What seems to be very positive is that the higher the intake of lycopene containing vegetables, not especially just lycopene, but also the whole tomato, seems to lower the incidence of certain types of cancers, and the same for the cardiovascular disease. But before being able to say that, we still have to do some investigation. To give you some figures about how much lycopene do we have in tomatoes, it's more or less about 80 to 150 milligrams per kilogram of the tomatoes, knowing that the lycopene is concentrated in the skin of the tomatoes. Then you have some genetically modified tomatoes that have been improved in the sense of a higher content of lycopene. This has been the selection following this criteria that are produced, and these tomatoes are really produced just to be able to extract the lycopene from them. And what is very interesting with interesting properties of lycopene is that the processing of tomato is making the lycopene more available. We already heard it earlier before. The lycopene concentration in tomato juice or soup or sauce or ketchup is higher than in the fresh tomato, which is very important for the product, and in that case it's also higher in the processing residues.